If you're thinking about getting the Jaecoo J7 in 2025 and you're wondering what is it like to drive around, well, here we are. You found yourself in the right place. Now, for reference, this is the SHS, so the hybrid version. This has got a 1.5 turbocharged petrol engine combined with a 18.3 kilowatt hour battery as well. Now, I've broken this video down into about 7 different areas that I think are quite important when it comes to a vehicle and how it drives. Now, the first one we're going to touch on is going to be the fuel economy. And with this being the plug-in hybrid, when it's on the petrol hybrid mode, you're going to get roughly 700 miles to a tank. Now, I can tell you when I filled this up, it was showing 695 miles to the tank. And then when the battery is at 100%, you're going to get around 56 miles on pure battery as well. Now, something for me, fuel economy and how many miles per tank is actually something quite important. I do a lot of miles, and like anything, getting the most for my money is high up there on something I look at when I'm looking at a new vehicle. I used to have an L200 truck, and that thing would get 350, 400 miles to a full tank, and it would cost around £100 to fill up. That's not the case with the J7. At the minute, on the petrol side of things, I'm getting 60 miles per gallon, and I'm getting just shy of 50 miles per gallon on the electric battery. For me personally, I've got it pretty good in the sense that I can charge my car for free at work. So that means I get 56 miles pretty much every day given to me for free, so I can go to and from work, I can go to the gym, I can go shopping, whatever it may be, mostly without touching the petrol. Whenever I set off, I always make sure I've got it in EV mode to really maximise the battery before I'm touching the petrol. And so far, fuel economy has been fantastic. I've had this car almost a week, and like I said, 695 miles when I first filled up. I'm currently showing 620 miles, and like I said, I'm just absolutely abusing that battery power. When I get to work and I'm low on the battery, it can take up to about 3 hours, it shows on the charger, to get up to 100%. But that's cool. By the time I finish my shift, we're good to go. With this petrol hybrid, looking at the engine numbers quickly, we're looking at 202 brake horsepower with 310 Newton meters of torque, and it's around 8.2 seconds from 0 to 60. So even though this is quite a fairly sized SUV, it's not slow off the mark. Whenever you need to overtake, you just put your foot down and this thing does shift. After talking about the fuel economy, that brings me on nicely to my point number 2, which is going to be this vehicle's got 3 different driving modes. So ignoring the petrol and the electric side of things, you've got eco, normal and sport. One thing to note, when you do put it in sport, it won't let you be in electric. You have to be in the petrol hybrid. To change over modes, there's literally a button on the center console here, just past your elbow, and it says mode, and you just push it 1, 2, 3, and it pops up on the large screen and the small screen in front of you, just to let you know which one you are in. Honestly, I've just been leaving it in eco mode. There's still plenty of power to drive around, but again, because I'm trying to maximize my mileage with the battery, I don't need to be draining it unless I want to have a bit more of a spirited drive, and then I just put it in sport and just accept that I'm going to be into the petrol. Because let's face it, every now and then you got to have a bit of fun, haven't you? So not only is it really easy to switch between the modes, but when you go from eco to sport, the difference is immediate. You can feel the responsiveness of the pedal pickup, and the car, like I said earlier, just wants to shift, it wants to move. I like knowing it's there. Just at the tip of my toes, whenever I want it, just push down and we're off. One thing to note, if you are in the electric mode and you do to an overtake or accelerate hard, it will take you out, put you in the petrol hybrid, just to give you that maximum torque. And then once you're finished, you just push EV and then you're good to go. Point number 3 then is going to be comfort. I'm 6'1", and the driving stance is just, there's so much room in this car, it kind of doesn't matter how big you are. The only thing to note is on the left hand side, the center column that cuts all the way through between the driver and the passenger, it does sit right in line with my knee, so that may bother some people, it might not. I must admit though, when you are in a more spirited drive, it does help you kind of stable against the car when you are moving around. But keeping within the comfort theme, the car is so quiet. Like, whether that's because it's in the electric mode and you're just not hearing the sound of the engine, but to be honest, even when it's in the hybrid mode, you still struggle to hear the engine, hear any kind of real noise coming through. And then the ambient sound, the ambient noise from the outside, like the cabin itself, is really quiet as well. Like, it's a very calming, relaxed space to drive. Where I've been in some cars and it's just so noisy, a lot of external noise, tyre noise, wind noise, whatever. Not a nice place to be, but honestly, it's quite pleasurable. But obviously you can destroy that peace and quiet by whacking on the Sony speakers if you want. Point number 4 then, handling. Now this is obviously quite a big SUV. It's not the biggest out there. I'd say it's in line with the kind of Range Rover Evoque, BMW X3, Audi Q3 kind of dimension. What does that mean? Well, when you are in the back roads, in the twisties, and you are having a bit more of a spirited drive, you do get a little bit of kind of body sway, kind of having that higher center of gravity. It is one thing you get used to, but it is noticeable when you jump in it. The feedback from the inputs from the steering wheel to the tyres, like, it is very responsive going around the corners. Like, it goes exactly where you want it to. You don't need to put a whole lot of emphasis on the steering wheel to get you around the corner. But obviously it's not a small, sleek, low to the ground, 2-door sports car. Like, it's not going to handle like that. But obviously you wouldn't jump in this expecting it to. Looking at my notes, I think I've already covered off point number 5, but I was going to put down power. Now for me, having a larger vehicle like this on the SUV size, it needs to have enough oomph and get up and go to keep me excited. Like, I don't just want to get an old granny mobile. I want something that's got a bit of va-va-voom, it's got a bit of spark to it, that you can have a little bit of fun. And yeah, if you put this, like I said, in sport mode, like, it's got plenty of fun to it. You won't be looking for more power, put it that way. I just really enjoy the responsiveness of the pedal when you are in sport. Point number 6 then is, how does it handle in town? Well, I don't know about you, but I've certainly noticed a hell of a lot more 20-mile-an-hour zones in England. Obviously Wales, they announced they were going to do it and there was complaints. England, they seem to have just done it without really telling anyone. What I really like is the adaptive cruise control can go down to 9 miles an hour. So even if you could go into a 10-mile-an-hour zone, you can still put it on cruise control. When cutting through these smaller villages, the car has a big appearance, plenty of space, but actually when you're driving it and you're trying to needle it through some of these gaps, it doesn't feel too big. Like, I feel comfortable and confident driving this around and filtering past people. Like, I'm not having to pull in and let people past. We can just flow with the traffic. And yeah, so around town, really easy. Now, I just want to point out, Jaecoo haven't given me this vehicle to review. This is my own personal vehicle. I've had it about a week now, so I'm starting to understand all its nuances, the things I like, things I don't like. And I will make some videos going forward on the top features, what I do like, what I don't like, proper fuel economy tests, seeing how far we can get on a single tank, etc. So if there are any questions that you've got about the vehicle, about the ownership of it, let me know in the comments box below and I'll either try and answer it or I'll make it into a video. And lastly then, what is it like to drive on the dual carriageway on the motorway? Well, as I said, plenty of power, so don't need to worry about that. You want to do your overtakes, you just put your foot down. Now this thing is absolutely filled with tech. And again, I'll do a whole video on just like the tech side of it. But in a nutshell, there are 2 different cruise control modes you've got the standard adaptive cruise control, so you just set that, it will then measure the car in front and slow down if the distance is getting too close. Or you've got the ICA, which is the kind of like intelligent adaptive cruise control, where it will do the same. You can set your speed and then obviously it will measure the car in front, but it will also, with all the sensors and the cameras around, do the lane positioning for you as well. So it's not like your Tesla autopilot, absolutely not, but it will keep you in your lane and it will kind of steer for you. Again, you need to keep your hand, or at least one hand, on the steering wheel. If you don't, it starts popping up a warning, a message, and start blinking at you saying take control of the steering wheel. Right now, as you can tell, I am going around a gentle right-hander and the car is doing all the input for me. There you go, take over the vehicle is what it's just told me. It's still activated, but my hand needs to be on the steering wheel to kind of keep it going. Now, I'm not saying the ICA is perfect, because it's not. It's a feature that you may want to use on those longer journeys, longer stints on the motorways. But again, I say it's not perfect. You do have to be switched on and kind of just make sure you're ready to take control if it wants to do something rogue. You've got a great field of view. You've got obviously your blind spot indicators in the mirrors. So yeah, super easy to drive on the motorway dual carriageway. Well guys, those are the 7 areas I like to look at when testing out a new car. So hopefully I've answered some questions you might have about the Jaecoo J7. Remember, if you've got any more questions, drop them below. And if you want to check out my top 5 features that I love about the Jaecoo J7, check out this video here.